Welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com. Come to the site now. We're getting you ready for your fantasy football drafts with your rankings, cheat sheets, sleepers, busts, draft plan that I have up. Check it all out there. Sporting News, our staff does a great job there of prepping you for domination in your season-long leagues. And I'm hoping that you held out here because we had some big developments with injuries. We had Travis Etienne going down with the Jaguars last week. Well, we had a bigger injury this weekend with J.K. Dobbins down for the season for the Ravens. He was going as a high-end RB2. So what do we do to replace him? We're going to check it out here as we put a rankings focus on the AFC North draft outlook for all their players. So we'll go from Baltimore to Pittsburgh. So Ravens, the two Ohio teams, Bengals, Browns, and end up on the Steelers with this show. This is continuing our series here. If you missed any of the NFC division breakdowns, we did that for you last week with the East, North, South, and West. Then we also kicked off our look at the AFC with the AFC East. So similar show today. We're going to break down all the teams, where their players are going, and overall what their fantasy football prospects are. So we'll get to that and where Gus Edwards is now going in drafts, replacing Dobbins in a moment. Before we do that, I got to tell you that the Locked On NFL podcast is previewing every team in every division with the help of Odyssey's lineup of NFL experts through September 8th. There are preview episodes on the feed that you can listen to right now. Follow Locked On NFL today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's dive in to the Ravens here. A good team to start with. We'll devote the first entire segment to them. Gus Edwards is the top drafted Raven at this point. He's going 50th there overall, 23rd at the position. So that makes him a borderline RB2 in half-point PPR formats. This is according to the Fantasy Pros consensus rankings of the experts. So we know that J.K. Dobbins was going in the teens at running back, so pretty high-end RB2. Well, Gus is the borderline last one. And we know in standard leagues, Gus Edwards is going to have more value because he's not a big pass catcher. He's going to have less value, of course, in full-point PPR. So splitting the difference, he still comes in as an RB2. I think he's more of a flex play in PPR formats, more of a higher reliable RB2 in standard leagues. Now, we know he doesn't catch passes, and that's going to limit his value overall, but we know he's a very efficient runner, can make some chunk runs, plays in a very elite running game. That's going to be run heavy, playing off Lamar Jackson. So plenty of opportunities to score points, plenty of opportunities to reel off big runs and get close to the century mark on the ground in several games this season. So they got to play ahead. The game script's got to be favorable. He's not a guy that they're going to throw to when they're behind. But the Ravens are a good team. They're going to win a lot of games. And they're very good at running the ball. And playing off Lamar, Gus Edwards is going to get plenty of opportunity. They love Gus. The Gus bus, they're going to get on it. But they also know he has some limitations here. And we haven't heard anything about them really going after Todd Gurley. There was a rumor there that the Ravens would look for a replacement. I still think they might be in the market for a veteran, especially with what's happened behind Gus Edwards. At this point, you're looking at Justice Hill potentially losing the job here to Tyson Williams. A bit of a twist now. You look at Justice Hill, he's gone 301, 79th at the position. Tyson Williams is a real bargain if he's ending up as the number 2 here, 378 to 103. But my suspicion is if they keep all 3 backs, and Hill has a better chance of making the team now, they're with Edwards, behind Edwards, that they'll probably do a committee piecemeal it there. But Edwards is still going to get the majority of the touches when he's healthy. But I wouldn't read too much into what's going to happen between Justin Hill and Tyson Williams. Should something happen to Edwards, let's just get through the fact that Dobbins is out. But I do like Gus Edwards there, RB2. He's solid. His value should go up. Some people have debated him versus James Robinson, the other guy that gets a bump with an injury to a backfield mate here. We'll talk about the Jaguars and their prospects, especially with Robinson on tomorrow's show. But look at Gus Edwards. I think he's a little bit behind just because he doesn't help in the passing game much, and the Ravens know that limitation. They still like him otherwise. They're going to feed him. They're going to trust him in key situations with the ball, but just don't expect Gus Edwards to suddenly expand his role beyond what the Ravens want. Just see a few more touches in the running game, but nothing you're going to see in the passing game from Gus Edwards out of necessity. The next Raven on the list, right there in those 50s, right there. So you're looking at the 5th round, is Mark Andrews. He's going as tight end 4. Now, it said it's a little bit aggressive for Andrews. They got more mouths to feed in the passing game, and they're certainly a red zone team that isn't always dependent on Andrews. He has kind of been the default wide receiver. They do have some injuries there that they're navigating through with Rashad Bateman and Marquise Hollywood Brown on the shelf. So that helps Mark Andrews' value, of course, but he could break down any time. I think they'll diversify their passing game a little bit. I just like the higher upside guys behind the big three of Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle. Those would be TJ Hawkinson of the Lions. He's going to be their number one receiver, no question about it. Kyle Pitts is going to be the number two receiver for the Falcons. Mark Andrews certainly could be the man again. He has good chemistry with Lamar Jackson. But I think in terms of upside, yardage, and maybe having the same amount of touchdowns, you could see Hawkinson and Pitts. So we're really getting tight there at tight end. I don't think Andrews is any lower than a tight end 6 here, but it's pretty tight. If you look at the rankings, they're all right next to each other. People are not quite sure where the separation is between Andrews, Hawkinson, and Pitts. Pitts, people taking for the upside, Hawkinson taking for the role, and Andrews more for the tried and true reality of that scoring that he's done in his career. So beware with Mark Andrews. I just think Hawkinson and Pitts have a little bit bigger upside. Lamar Jackson still carries a lot of upside here at running back / quarterback that he does, and he can throw, we know. And they've got better receivers. We have to see if Hollywood Brown can be healthy early again. Rashad Bateman, I don't think the other rookie, Tylan Wallace, is going to be a big factor. Miles Boykin kind of fading from this offense. But Lamar's going to get it down on the ground. He had a nice rebound in the second half of last season, had the MVP year in 2019. A little bit of slow start there in 2020, but got it going in the end and was the Lamar we knew. I think he goes back to being more of the Lamar we know here early in the season. So we look at Lamar, good spot here for sure. Again, QB4, that means he's behind the big three at that position, who are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Kyler Murray. I don't know if he's that much of a better value than Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson in some order behind him. So be careful, buyer beware. But if there's not much you like there at RB2 or wide receiver 2, then I think you have to go with Lamar Jackson in that spot there. Again, 56 overall, according to Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings, 4th at the position, just like Mark Andrews at his position at tight end. You look at Marquise Hollywood Brown and Rashad Bateman, they're battling some injuries. They hope one of them will be available for week 1. I think Brown has a better chance than Bateman to play here. But 126 for Hollywood Brown, 52nd at the position. 160 for Rashad Bateman, 65th. So no one is looking for anything more than a bench spot from these Ravens wide receivers. We're not knowing how it's going to play out. We know it's going to be, again, run heavy, mainly get the good value from Andrews, but the wide receiver still work in progress, even as they try to improve that position here. Sammy Watkins, there was a bit of buzz about him, but he's going 202, 79th at the position. He's back to being Sammy Watkins, not appealing here, even in his new offense for Greg Roman, even though he's put his best numbers up with Greg Roman. I think that was a bit of an early hype thing and part of the offseason that's not there anymore. Hollywood and Bateman are the guys to look at. I think Bateman is the better value, any guy that you're going to get later. Hollywood is the big play guy. Definitely changing landscape of this Ravens receiving core that we're going to watch. Miles Boykin down at 344, 116th position. So no one's really looking at Watkins or Boykin that much here. And being cautious with Bateman and Hollywood Brown here. So nothing to see here except some bench players. I would take a wait-and-see approach. If you can avoid tapping into the Ravens receiving core other than Andrews, I would definitely go in that direction this year. Their defense, solid as ever, 179, 3 overall at the position. So take it. I don't know if I'd pay a premium. I think I could wait and get a better defense here. Ravens defense pretty solid, but again, not spectacular enough where you're going to bang the table and try to draft them way too early. Justin Tucker is still the best kicker in the game, 189 overall. If you're going for a kicker early, if you're not following everyone's path and saying you're going to save a kicker for the last round, Justin Tucker is the guy you would target away from the last round. Tylan Wallace there at wide receiver, another guy they're looking at 373 and 124 on the board. So really not much to see there at wide receiver. Gus value goes way up here. Edwards looking like at least getting 60% of the touches here in the backfield in some form. And Mark Andrews, Lamar holding steady of their positions here, but maybe a tad overrated in relation to their competition and values of those positions here in 2021. All right, so that takes care of the Ravens and their outlook here for fantasy football. We'll look at the Bengals and the Browns as everyone has wrapped up their preseason action, turning the corner here for the regular season. Before we do that, I got to tell you about North One, better banking for small business owners. Serving small business owners is all they do. North One allows you to manage your money from anywhere, whether you're at home or on the go, everything you need to manage your business finances is at your fingertips. Never step foot in a bank branch again. In addition to the features you'd expect, like mobile check deposit, cash withdrawals, ability to send and receive ACH and wire payments, North One is an FDIC insured account that can save you both time and money. North One integrates with the accounting software you already use, saving you hours of manual bookkeeping. And with North One's envelope feature, you can automatically budget and save for things like rent, payroll, taxes, and more. With North One, you'll never pay overdraft or NSF fees again, saving you hundreds of dollars per month. To get started, visit apply.northone.com/lock. Again, apply.northone.com/lock. That's Northone, NORTHON.com/lock. Apply northone.com/lock. North One, business banking made for America. It's also that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the 2021 season. College is here for real. NFL is just around the corner after Labor Day. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 mega contest and the world's largest 200,000 NFL Survivor contest, open now at BetOnline. Head to the website or use a mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. Be sure to take advantage of their opening day super promo. Make a bet on Thursday, September 9th, season opener, between the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. And if you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25. That's for new customers only when signing up and using the promo code NFL100. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait and take advantage of all the great offers available for the 2021 season. All you have to do is enter the promo code Locked On for that welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, let's continue the show looking at what we have here in the Cincinnati Bengals. As you would expect, Joe Mixon is 20th on the board overall. You're looking at 13th there at running back, so not a surprise on either front here for Joe Mixon. So, again, Joe Mixon, not a guy I'm thrilled about. I think they can lean on him a little bit more. He's actually looked pretty good. The offensive line is playing a little bit better, but not a guy I'm banging the table for with a lot of upside guys, higher upside guys at that position here. So, looking at Joe Mixon, they're in the rankings, 20th overall, 13th again. That's about right. Do I like him more as a lower end RB2? Yeah, I don't love him as the high end right there, turn the corner RB2, but he's going to be solid. You can do a lot worse, and a good way to kind of round out your backfield early in your drafts. Now, the next Bengal on the board, this is a good question mark here. Who's the next guy you're going to take between the three wide receivers? T. Higgins, 58th overall, 23rd. So he's going as a borderline wide receiver 2.5 point PPR formats, according to the experts on Fantasy Pros. 70th for Jamar Chase, the rookie, the dynamic rookie out of LSU, reuniting with Joe Burrow. 28th, so he's going as an early wide receiver 3. And you have Tyler Boyd going 80th overall as a near end wide receiver 3 at 33. So interesting, these three guys are bunched up so close. 5 spots between Higgins and Chase, 5 spots between Chase and Boyd. So people are not quite sure, but they think all these guys are going to get a lot of targets, and why not? This team is going to trail. Joe Burrow is going to light it up. They're going to use a lot of 11 personnel. Not really factoring a tight end here. CJ Uzomah, 339, so nobody's looking at him. 41st of the position. Drew Sample, 46. So it's all going to be about these three wide receivers getting high volume here. Jamar Chase is the number one talent, but he's a rookie. He's had some drop issues. He's impressive. T. Higgins is maybe the solid, safest choice, but Chase has the highest upside. Boyd actually might have the most reliable floor here because of his work in the slot here. So when you look at this conundrum that we have, Jamar Chase, if you're aggressive, want to go for the upside, I think he's the best receiver of the three. He has the best chemistry, Joe Burrow. Higgins is a pretty good receiver. He's got good size. He can go up and get the ball. He has that established one pro year with Joe Burrow, which is certainly going to help in this offense. Knows the offense a little bit more. So I'd say Higgins is the safest, but you also have to invest a higher pick in Higgins, and I don't think he's going to give you the same type of upside. And if you're looking for a better value later with solid production from this Bengals passing game, you look at Boyd last as a wide receiver 3. I still think the upside belongs with Chase. Again, that Burrow-Chase connection can't be discounted. I think the drops were a bit overblown. He's actually practiced really well. They're going to have high volume to him. So these three guys are going to see a lot of targets. I think Chase is the best position to score the most touchdowns, maybe make the most big plays, so he could get away with less catches and have more production in terms of the yardage and touchdowns. So I think when you look at the volume, Boyd might be the guy that sees the most targets and catches in the end. Higgins has a chance to displace Chase as the highest touchdown scorer. So it's very hard between these three guys. And again, I like Chase the most. He's right in the middle. He has the highest upside. And if I'm going Higgins or Boyd, I think I'm going to wait and get Boyd there at his ranking 80th versus 58th. There's a significant difference there. And I think I can get decent production, even though there's 10 different spots at wide receiver between those two. Now, Joe Burrow's next. He's at 107. They're borderline QB1 at 13th of the position. So deeper leagues, he is a QB1, 12 teams leagues, just out of it. Joe Burrow, there's a lot of question marks. Will he come back healthy from the knee and show his old form that he was developing last year, show some of that LSU form with Jamar Chase in the mix? I'm betting on Joe Burrow having a big year. I think this is a good ranking for him. Hedges your bets a little bit, knowing that he has the injury, but still has the upside in mind there with Joe Burrow going 13th. So that's a really good spot for him right now. I wouldn't draft him too far ahead, just knowing the injury, but I think you could definitely get QB1 solid return out of him, given that he has these three receivers and Mixon out of the backfield to catch passes. In terms of handcuffing Mixon, it's tough. You have Samaje Perine. He's still there, 269, 72nd at running back. And then you drop all the way down to Chris Evans. They're 383 at 105. So I think it's going to be more of a committee approach, piecemeal. If Mixon should go down, not a real true kind of workhorse in his place. There's no more Giovanni Bernard here, so that kind of changes things as well. So we used to have a clear handcuff situation around Mixon. Now it's very cloudy. So, and that could also make the Bengals trust Joe Mixon as a feature back and give him carries. Again, the durability, the line, some of the nature of this offense being a little bit pass happy gets me away from Mixon, but it also makes me very intrigued about all three wide receivers and tying that all together, Joe Burrow here in 2021. All right, now let's look at the Browns. They've got some nice upside, we know, all across, but they're actually dropping off pretty quickly when you look at where the elite options are. Nick Chubb, there's always a debate on him, half-point PPR, full-point PPR, where you should take him. Chubb is just a dynamic runner, great offensive line, good offense overall. I think they're going to open things up in the passing game. Chubb is going to be a finisher. This team is going to be playing from ahead for quite a bit, so he's going to be involved quite a bit. So he's number 10 overall, 8th at running back in half-point PPR. That says something. That says Chubb is so productive and so efficient as a runner with the touchdown capacity here that he can blow up. And keep in mind, he missed time last year, or he could have even a bigger season. Kareem Hunt did have better value last year because of that need as a feature back with Chubb on the shelf. He's 51st and 24th. So he's going as the final RB2. So right behind Gus Edwards, really everywhere, as Gus is 50 and 23. Kareem Hunt is 51 and 24. So Kareem Hunt's going to be involved, but I think I'd rather trust Chubb early than Hunt late. I just don't know Hunt is going to catch as many passes as you think. Chubb is not a zero in catching passes either. And you could see Chubb, a healthy Chubb, scoring a lot of touchdowns. I could also see more people involved in the Cleveland passing game. This is why I also like Baker Mayfield. We'll get to him in a moment. Odell Beckham Jr., I think he can have a nice rebound season. He's going 64th there overall, 25 at wide receiver. So being seen as the borderline wide receiver 2-3 here, I think he'll be fully healthy. He'll start making the plays that we expect with Baker Mayfield. That's why I like Mayfield. Jarvis Landry also healthy. He's going at 105 and 42. So he's more of a wide receiver 4 flex option for you, where Odell, I think, is going to fall more into that wide receiver 2 range with his rebound. So again, I think having Beckham and Landry and Chubb healthy hurts Hunt's value quite a bit here in 2021. I don't know if I see him as RB2. I think I feel a little bit more comfortable with Hunt as a flex. If you bump up Odell to wide receiver 2 and Jarvis Landry more into wide receiver 3 flex borderline here, and Chubb having a big year, I would say be wary of drafting Hunt. I wouldn't want to have a Chubb Hunt situation either as my backfield in fantasy. It's okay if Hunt's looking at as your flex there, but be wary of Chubb. I think this passing game is going to open up, and that's why I like Baker Mayfield. He's 140th on the board, 18th, criminally low here after he finished as a QB1 for the second half of last season. What they had going was very Ryan Tannehill-esque in Cleveland, where they had the running game setting up the big plays in the passing game. So you had that working for Baker Mayfield, and it was fun to watch here in Cleveland. And I think you'll see that kind of Baker play this year where get aggressive, get the touchdowns early, spread the ball around, the passing game being set up for the running game well, a lot more confidence and stability, aggressiveness in now the established Kevin Stefanski offense. So There's some high hopes for Austin Hooper maybe being a little bit better in year two with Cleveland. 147 is his ranking, 22nd in tight end. So he's popped up more as a tight end too, but he was really off the radar. Someone we're looking at. You're looking at also Harrison Bryant, 346 overall, 43rd at the position. David Njoku, 350, 44th. So Austin Hooper has a chance here. Can he get enough touches and targets here behind Beckham, Landry, and Hunt in the pass game? We'll have to see. You also have Rashard Higgins, 280 and 96, and Donovan Peoples-Jones at 98. So I think it's a little bit crowded, run-heavy offense. I don't think you can sustain other wide receivers consistently in fantasy football other than Beckham and Landry. They're going to dominate targets from Mayfield. So I think Hooper might be the guy that gets involved after Hunt and these two wideouts for Cleveland most. So look out for Hooper. I think it would not surprise anyone if he snuck in to back end tight end one status here in this offense, but a good backup stash here for sure at that position. The Browns defense, this is a special value here, 224 overall, 14th among defenses. They got too much talent on their back end, front end. Now with Jadeveon Clowney, you got Denzel Ward in the back end. Their secondary is much better overall. So again, the Browns can make a lot of plays. They're going to play from ahead. They're going to tee off on some teams, setting up with their passing game and their offense overall. So when we look at the Browns, it's going to be pretty darn good overall. This team is going to be very successful. They're going to get big plays in the passing game. A lot more of those to help Mayfield's value. They're going to be consistent in the running game and cleaned up with their defense here in 2021. If you're looking for a kicker, I could think you could do better than Cody Parkey, 349th overall, 29th. So well buried in the kicker threes. Yeah, you can do a lot better than that. Again, this team is going to finish pretty well in the red zone, so Parkey's going to be limited with value there. He also kicks in some tough conditions at different parts of the year. So not going with Cody Parkey as the kicker that you're going to look for in leagues. But yeah, higher upside passing game for the Browns. And I do like Chubb significantly more, even though it's the higher draft pick than Hunt in where he's going here in 2021. We will get to our final team in the AFC North in our final segment, looking at where the Steelers are going in drafts and what their outlook is in fantasy football 2021. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a way to get your TV together. It's called Direct TV Stream, and brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. I also have to tell you, this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by Locked On's favorite protein bar. That is Built Bar, the best tasting protein bar ever. What's your favorite Built Bar flavor? The only way to find out is to check out one of their 9 core delicious flavors, and always be on the lookout for the occasional limited time flavor. Just listen to these flavors: coconut almond, cherry, raspberry, mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel. There is something for everyone at Built Bar, and I'm passionate about Built Bars. People love Built Bars, will tell you they have their favorites. I love the mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel. I like so many of these Built Bars, so I know there's something for everyone. That includes you. You know what my decision is? Usually I try to get the mix box where you get 2 each of 9 flavors. So you get good variety there, so you can have a different Built Bar every day to power you through the day with great protein. Built Bar flavors are the best tasting, but they're also healthy for you too. The flavors have 17 to 18 grams protein, only 130 to 180 calories, only 4 to 5 grams sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams net carbs. So order today and get whatever you like from Built Bar. Go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your first order. Use the promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. All right, let us close the show looking at the Steelers. It's been whirlwind here of looking at the AFC North fantasy football prospects, but we want to get you ready for your last-minute drafts and know that you need all the information possible to nominate. That's what we do here at Locked On Fantasy Football. Straight, no nonsense, to the point fantasy football analysis for you. Let's look at where the Steelers are going in the rankings here, according to the experts, half-point PPR and fantasy pros. Looking at Najee Harris, he's ranked 18th, the rookie running back from Alabama. He's going as the last RB1 at number 12. Then you have Deontay Johnson here next, the wide receiver at 47 overall, 21st. So let's look at Najee Harris. I think he's going to live up to the hype. They have no one else. Benny Snell right now looks like he's going to make the team. Snell's a pretty cheap handcuff right now, 257, 70th position. You look at Anthony McFarland, 282 and 76. So we'll see if Snell gets cut. Snell is the most experienced guy they can have. McFarland is more of a change of pace back, so both of these guys could be around behind Harris. But I expect Harris to dominate touches here in 2021. For the Steelers don't use first-round picks very easily on running backs. He's got the surname that you like, Franco Harris, tapping into him. So other than Najee Harris a lot, I think he's the number one rookie. I think right behind him, we talked about the other guys, Jamar Chase for the Bengals. But Harris clearly is the number one rookie in this class with the usage, the talent, the situation all lines up for Harris. And staying steady here as the Steelers kind of eased up on him after showcasing him early in the preseason when they had 4 games, including the Hall of Fame game. So we feel confident about Najee Harris. We've seen plenty from him, and he's going to live up to being the feature back star here of the Steelers. Now, Deontay Johnson, the next one we mentioned at 47, 21st at wide receiver. So he's going as a wide receiver 2. Chase Claypool, the big playmaker, 65th overall, 26. So he's going as a wide receiver 3. And you also have Juju Smith-Schuster going as a wide receiver 3, 77th and 31st at the position. So interesting comparison when you look at this group and the Bengals group. You have 23, 28, and 33 here at the position. Now you're at 26, 26, or 21, 26, and 31 here. So Deontay Johnson drops. Don't focus too much on them. I think he's the guy that you trust most as the wide receiver 2 here. He's just going to get involved. He's the best overall receiver. Ben Roethlisberger is not necessarily the deep guy. He's not necessarily going to force into the slot to Juju Smith-Schuster. Deontay Johnson, I think, is the best overall talent here. His profile is most like Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders in terms of his physicality. Chase Claypool's getting a lot of buzz and going fast here in a lot of drafts, but I'm going with Johnson, the steady player who has some big playability as well. Claypool a little bit more boom or bust. I don't trust Ben Roethlisberger to consistently get the ball downfield with his arm struggling from last year. And the offensive line having a bit of transition. I still think they're a little bit better run blocking and pass protection. They got quite a bit gutted here in the offseason. So look at that. So I'm not interested in Juju Smith-Schuster at all. He has very little upside for me. He can squeeze out some numbers in the slot, but Deontay's their number one. Claypool's their big play guy. I think in standard leagues, I lean a little bit more towards Claypool and targeting him because I'm not worried about the volume. He can get the big plays and the touchdowns, where Johnson's going to get the volume. If there's anyone's going to push for 100 receptions, it's going to be him in this offense. So Juju not interested. Deontay in half and full going there, and standard leaning a little bit more toward Claypool here in 2021. The guy that's throwing to them, Ben Roethlisberger, 157 on the board. He's going as a very deep QB2 at 21st at the position. So, look, Roethlisberger, we saw his arm kind of the lap date there a little bit last year. Really struggled in that playoff game against the Browns. Yards per attempt, the air yards were not pretty. That's why, again, we're pivoting away from Claypool. He's going to get his big plays and touchdowns, but Roethlisberger is going to be more distributing the ball around, and that's why they got Harris, because they want to be more run-centric. This was the second pass-happiest team in the NFL behind the Jaguars last year. So they're going to change that. You know that Mike Tomlin wants to run the ball, protect his defense. You're not going to see the same volume for Roethlisberger. You're not going to see the same field stretching for Roethlisberger. But Deontay Johnson lines up with that. Juju has some value, just not a lot of upside there. Claypool will be occasionally a big play. And we know Ben Roethlisberger is also not going to give you much of the leg. So if you're going for the passing, I think that's where he ranks here. Even though he was much higher last year, I think he's in a perfect spot here in the rankings in 2021. Then we have Eric Ebron at 171. Not too interested in him. He's 26th at tight end, so falling into tight end 3 status here. Pat Freiermuth is also a tight end 3, much later in the draft, 311 and 35th of the position. So, yeah, no point in getting Eric Ebron. At some point, Freiermuth is going to play a little bit more. The rookie out of Penn State, special skill set. Ebron's going to help, but I don't see a lot of 12 personnel on this team. And if they want to help the running game, they got to get Freiermuth out there a little bit more with Derek Watt, the fullback. Then we'll see Eric Ebron. Ebron's not much of an in-blind blocker. He's going to be hurt with these, again, 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets. So not interested at all in Ebron. It's a wait-and-see approach with Freiermuth, and that's how I look at the Steelers' tight ends. We know there's one way to look at the Steelers' defense. It is elite here in making plays. TJ Watt and company there. You have 175 overall, second defense off the board. But typically, the first defense has been either the Rams or the Washington football team. Steelers are right up there making some plays here. We know that they can get after the quarterback. There's some big play potential in the secondary as well. So that's about right. Am I going to, again, reach like I'm going to for other defenses like Baltimore? No, I'm not going to do that. Baltimore, coincidentally, is the defense right behind them, is the third one on the board right now, behind the Rams. So, no, I think you can do much better than the Steelers or Ravens value. You know, with their reputation, someone's going to overdraft these teams. So, stay away from them as much as possible. You have Chris Boswell has been a decent kicker, but doesn't have great range, and we don't like the turf at Heinz Field. We know that's always been limitations for any kicker there, home or away. Boswell, limited returns there, 263, 18th among kickers. That's about right. We're not really drafting him. The other Steeler we'll look at here is James Washington, 267 and 94. So not much there as the fourth receiver. That's why he wants out of Pittsburgh. Maybe he'll get dealt or something will happen here with the cuts where we have a Washington relocation here for Pittsburgh. But that's how you look at the Steelers. A lot on the wide receiver, but much more on Harris where you're looking at. So all four of these teams in the black and blue AFC North. We're focusing on the running backs first. Gus Edwards, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, and Najee Harris. With the passing game a little bit harder to figure out, where I think the Bengals have the highest upside, the Steelers next, the Browns, and the Ravens a distant fourth at that position. Betting on the NFL doesn't have to be a guessing game. If you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling, get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's Lock of the Day. Follow Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get your podcasts. This wraps up another edition of Locked On Fantasy Football. Thanks so much for listening. This has been your host, Vinnie Iyer. We'll see you next time with a look at the AFC South and their fantasy football prospects across the board, all four teams here in 2021.